He's a guy who ends up adopting an angel girl who does absolutely everything in a story that proves divine intervention comes with household chores. The alarm clock wakes up 𝐂𝐿𝐴, and his body feels so heavy, he's certain he caught the flu from somewhere. During breakfast, he notices the window stayed open even though he always closes it every single night without fail. But soon he understands the real reason for this mystery. An unknown girl sleeping on his balcony like it's a 5-star hotel. The guy panics and ends up spilling his milk all over the poor thing accidentally. The poor thing who, after saying good morning to the homeowner as if she's lived there for years, decides to change out of her wet clothes right there. Meanwhile, 𝐂𝐿𝐴 wonders if this person is a cosplayer who practices parkour in her spare time, or if this is some new internet prank show. So he closes all the curtains to prevent cameras from filming his apartment for views. In the meantime, the girl asks to borrow some clothes, and 𝐂𝐿𝐴 frantically searches through drawers like a madman looking for anything clean. After finding the only clean shirt available, he apologizes for not having something better to offer. But it's the girl who apologizes for using the guy's balcony without permission since she had nowhere else to sleep last night. Next, she introduces herself as 𝐂𝐴, while he says his name is 𝐂𝐴 Shintaro formally. So the girl uses the guy's first name Shintaro to express her joy at meeting a person with such a pure soul, and that this can only be God's plan working. With this, the guy starts noticing the manners and beauty of this stranger who would love to thank all of Shintaro's relatives for raising such a kind person. However, he explains he lives alone, and 𝐂𝐴 is surprised he lives by himself in this mansion with so many windows everywhere. Facing this, Shintaro explains that room is his entire home, and not a whole building to himself. With so much stuff thrown around everywhere, 𝐂𝐴 thought the apartment was a storage unit being rented. And this confused thought from the girl makes the homeowner think something is seriously wrong with her mentally. Actually, he asks why she was sleeping on the balcony in the first place, and without answering the question directly, the girl says she needs to repay the accommodation somehow as thanks. So she asks the guy to tell her without fear what she can give in exchange for staying. Since he was standing too close and insisting she'll do whatever is possible, Shintaro loses patience and says he doesn't want anything from her at all. So 𝐂𝐴 regrets this and promises to at least cook something for her host to show gratitude. But there are no ingredients in the house whatsoever because the guy only eats frozen food with Coca-Cola as his balanced diet. So the girl decides to contribute with a cleaning session instead. But while running to the balcony, she ends up tripping on a pile of suspicious magazines scattered around. Fortunately, she didn't even see what happened because she was busy breaking up a cat fight to fulfill the verse about loving your neighbor like yourself, apparently. After that, Shintaro puts some bandages on the girl's scratched fingers and asks her to stay calm because those cats fight sometimes, but they live peacefully on the neighborhood rooftops most days. Seeing the girl's pure nature, Shintaro understands she has reasons to run away from home, but reminds her it's dangerous for a girl to sleep outdoors alone. So she needs to think about returning home safely. However, 𝐂𝐴 explains she lives in heaven, the divine dwelling, and that she's an actual angel from above. Shintaro finds what he heard funny at first, but soon realizes this girl is being completely serious about her claims. So he stays without reaction while 𝐂𝐴 explains she descended to Earth by divine order and represents the angels on a mission to learn about humans and their ways. In the middle of this speech, Shintaro sees she's genuinely being sincere about everything. But that doesn't mean he believes her story, because in his mind, clearly 𝐂𝐴 escaped from some clinic, or she's one of those pretty made-up girls who keep offering you some generic computer course on the street. Finally, the strange girl asks to stay a few days at the guy's place, but since the alarm reminded him there's half an hour until work starts, Shintaro rushes to get her out of there, at least promising to take her to the bus stop safely. After all the confusion, Shintaro takes a deep breath and believes he made the right choice, sending her away. In the late afternoon, the guy was completely wiped out because of the flu that only got worse throughout the day, and so the boss released him to leave work early for his health. On the way home, he wonders if 𝐂𝐴 really left for good, certain he'd never see her again in his life, until she crosses paths with Shintaro accompanied by a creepy old dude who called her to go to a hotel with him. Facing this scene, he grabs 𝐂𝐴 by the arm and pulls her away from danger immediately. But when giving that lecture to the angel about not trusting strangers, the guy faints on the ground from his fever. Sometime later, Shintaro wakes up in his house, and 𝐂𝐴 was so worried beside him she shed tears of relief hearing from the guy that he was feeling better now. Shintaro looks around and realizes the girl had spent all this time taking care of him alone. And speaking of which, she offers him a milk porridge with sugar made from the leftover bread since she didn't find any rice in the house anywhere. Shintaro is happy it's something he's never eaten before, but at the same time feels awkward when 𝐂𝐴 insists on feeding him by mouth like a baby bird. In the end, he gives in and feels good eating something so delicious made by someone who cared so much about taking care of him properly. After enjoying every second of this unique moment, Shintaro returns to giving the mom lecture he failed to give on the street earlier, warning 𝐂𝐴 not to trust strangers because there are many bad people out there in the world. The angel tries to justify her attitude in accompanying that man, but ends up not finding the right words to defend herself. So Shintaro cuts through the silence by offering his home for her to stay a few days, since 𝐂𝐴 genuinely has nowhere else to go safely. With the good news, the girl hugs Shintaro tightly, who knows this girl is kind of crazy and naive, but still a good person at heart, at least he thinks so. Next, the homeowner comments it must have been difficult carrying him all the way there, but 𝐂𝐨𝐴 responds it was the simplest thing in the world considering she's capable of flying through the air. So since the guy made that same doubtful face again, this time she opens her angelic wings to leave no more doubt about who she really is to him. And Shintaro is enchanted by the unique scene before his eyes. However, as soon as he wakes up the next day, the young man is certain it was just a dream from his fever, until the angel wakes up beside him and throws all his certainty down the drain once again. Shintaro asks what she's doing in his bed specifically, but as the girl correctly reminds him it's the only bed in the entire apartment available. Seeing he really did pick up an angel to raise, Shintaro sees her dress slipping down her shoulder, so he rushes to tell her to change clothes and go buy breakfast on the street. Arriving at the small market, he's eyeing the rice to purchase, while 𝐂𝐴 shows him a steamed bun that gives a free plate as a prize for collecting stickers from the packaging over time. With her excitement, the angel ends up letting her wings show exposed outside her clothes, so Shintaro needs to put her back in line to avoid causing chaos in the store with witnesses. Upon returning home, she apologizes for her excitement at the wrong time and explains she learned to hide her wings while on Earth because she read the survival manual in the human world for good children before arriving. Curious about the topic, the guy asks what exactly angels do for a living up there, so 𝐂𝐴 explains they transmit God's will to people and prevent them from getting stuck between heaven and earth in limbo. Takuya thinks this job sounds exhausting because what this world doesn't lack is people everywhere. Meanwhile, 𝐂𝐴 concludes by saying, bringing happiness to humans is also part of angelic duties assigned to them. However, when the guy asks how exactly angels do this, she admits she hasn't discovered it yet, but imagines God sent her to figure it out by herself through experience. Right after that, 𝐂𝐴 bites into the steamed bun she brought with her and promises to eat it every single day she can afford to. But Takuya knows buying this bun every day at the neighborhood market will end up consuming the allowance his parents send monthly. So he decides he needs to start cooking on his own again for survival. He invites 𝐂𝐴 to go together to buy ingredients, plus some basic things she needs like a toothbrush for hygiene. And once again, the angel opens her wings, showing she's still going to cause trouble on the street eventually. Before leaving, 𝐂𝐴 puts her hand on Takuya's forehead to check if the fever passed completely. He embarrassed rushes to say it was probably just tiredness anyway from overworking. As soon as they arrive at the shopping mall, 𝐂𝐴 thinks she's standing before a palace and runs excitedly ahead of him. Takuya goes after her and tries to keep her nearby to grab everything she needs for living. The girl even offers to levitate the shopping basket in case it gets too heavy to carry, reminding him that for this, her wings need to be exposed publicly. Of course, he refuses this insane offer. While Takuya puts some instant ramen in the basket, 𝐂𝐴 is enchanted by a kitten mug on display. But since the homeowner already has enough cups, she's too shy to ask for it directly. People around are enchanted by 𝐂𝐴's princess-like appearance and beauty. So Takuya decides to buy some clothes for the girl to wear. Upon arriving at a store, he's relieved he saved money from side jobs and can buy at least one shirt or another for her. So he encourages 𝐂𝐴 to take a look and try on everything she finds pretty or interesting. A saleswoman shows a new collection and the angel gets excited choosing several pieces to try. When 𝐂𝐴 enters the fitting room, the saleswoman comments on how Takuya's girlfriend is beautiful, but he rushes without saying it's not quite like that between them. Inside, while changing, 𝐂𝐴 starts reflecting on everything happening. She thinks Takuya welcomed her even without knowing who she truly is, and therefore feels she needs to repay all this kindness somehow. Since she said earlier that bringing happiness is her role, she exits the fitting room wearing an outfit, takes the guy's hand, and promises to make him happy no matter what. Everyone around interprets this as if it were a marriage proposal happening. Leaving the store, Takuya is surprised he didn't feel so embarrassed by that scene, until 𝐂𝐴 asks what he thought of the new outfit on her. Inside, he thinks she's beautiful, but can only say it suited her well enough. Next, they buy groceries and return home together. When they arrive, Takuya is exhausted and imagines the angel is too, since it was Sunday and the mall was packed with people. But 𝐂𝐴 responds she had a lot of fun just being with him today. Besides that, she finds among the purchases the kitten mug she wanted so much earlier, and both get embarrassed by this caring moment between them. Inside, Takuya also thinks he had a lot of fun with this mysterious angel visiting. At night, Takuya shares the bed again with 𝐂𝐴 and thinks he should have bought another bed for himself. 2 days before this, 𝐂𝐴 arrived on Earth enchanted by the city lights glowing everywhere. She sees a train passing and flies after it to observe up close that incredible machine and the people inside going places. Enchanted by the human planet, she goes to an illuminated area to think about how to approach people without scaring them. Remembering the manual she read before the trip, one of the passages said that upon descending to Earth, an angel can choose between staying in an elevated position emitting a great bright light or hiding their wings and acting discreetly among mortals. Since 𝐂𝐴 wanted to meet humans up close, she chose to hide her wings to avoid calling attention to herself unnecessarily. Looking at the crowd below, she notices how humans seem busy, and when sleep hits, she goes looking for a place to rest for the night. Walking the streets at night without knowing where to lie down, 𝐂𝐴 decides there's no turning back now from this mission. Spotting a building that looks like a giant mansion, she approaches one of the floors and lies down on the balcony, thinking it was an empty room and wouldn't bother anyone sleeping there. Upon settling down, she wonders if this planet really has space for someone like her visiting, but decides to think about that only after resting properly. At least she feels she's going to meet someone wonderful on this journey. And there we return to the moment when the angel tells Takuya how she ended up sleeping on his balcony that night. He's happy she found a place, and she's happy she landed precisely in the world where Shintaro lives currently. When he asks how she learned to cook that way so well, she responds, she also learned from the survival manual on Earth for good children she studied. And the guy realizes this book really must have everything in it for angels. Excited about the meal, he goes to Cloud 9 thinking about freshly made rice and tasty stew waiting. So he says goodbye to his days of frozen food and welcomes his new routine alongside Toa happily. At this moment, Shintaro remembers Toa promised to make him happy earlier. That angel so sweet, beautiful, and an excellent cook besides. Immersed in thoughts about the girl, Shintaro pauses the meal and Toa asks if he didn't like it, but actually he was reflecting on how he could repay all that kindness from the angel properly. Toa thinks being able to sleep there is already more than enough, but since he mentioned helping, she asks him to teach her after dinner how to use the bathroom properly. So Shintaro explains that to take a bath, she should close the curtain so water doesn't wet the sink and other items outside the shower box. Then just turn one knob for hot water to come out and another to regulate temperature. But she should remember to fill the bathtub first if she wants to use it and also plug the drain with the stopper to keep the water inside. After this lesson on how to use the bathtub, Shintaro feels happy being able to help her. But the fact there's a girl like that taking a bath there makes him too nervous to function. Therefore, he decides to return to reality and watch television instead of sitting by the bathroom door like a creep. He turns on the TV and tries to watch anything, but his imagination keeps going back to Toa's bath happening. So he tries to punish himself with several self-inflicted right hooks to the face, but soon realizes he won't be able to win this mental whirlwind he got himself into completely. Still without giving up, he turns off the TV and decides to study for tomorrow's English test instead. And this time he manages to maintain focus for a good while until that urge to go to the bathroom hits him hard. Inattentive, he opens the door and realizes too late the bathroom was still occupied by someone. He closes the door embarrassed and apologizes for not remembering she was inside while cursing Japanese bathrooms that put bathtubs together with the toilet in one room. Toa says she can close the curtain and wait for him to use the toilet, but the shock took away his urge completely from embarrassment. Sometime later, he finally gets to use the bathtub and reflects that when living alone, you don't need to worry about who's on the other side of the door at all. That's why he invaded the bathroom by instinct earlier without thinking. Only Toa also doesn't seem to worry much about these things, because soon she was there again offering to wash his back, making him go crazy with nervousness. To make things worse, there's only one bed and the two sleep pressed against each other and Shintaro can't sleep a wink because of this proximity. For this reason, he decides the priority for the next day is buying another bed immediately. The guy hadn't managed to sleep at all, but since it wasn't even 6 in the morning yet, he decides to pee and try to nap a little afterward. However, once again, Toa was holed up inside the bathroom, this time changing clothes in there. And Shintaro didn't know where to hide his face from embarrassment. After another situation like this, his sleep was gone for good, because he could only think about the foolishness of having seen her in the bathroom twice already. Toa enters to brush her teeth and runs into Shintaro turning on the electric shaver machine. Despite this, not everything was just second-hand embarrassment happening. And the third day of coexistence with the angel continued blessed with a delicious breakfast, even though the poor guy was dead tired from no sleep. Finally, he feels his stomach satisfied and thanks his roommate for the care she shows. And when Good Morning Mofu starts on TV, Shintaro knows it's time to go to school for classes. Toa didn't know he was a student, so he explains he's in his first year of high school, so she promises to get ready to go with him there. Shintaro says she doesn't need to go to school with him, especially because people would find it strange seeing her. But Toa believes she can't make the guy happy if she's not always by his side constantly. Shintaro insists this won't work out well, so the angel asks him to skip class today, but he responds seriously that a student's duty is to study, and this time she gives up insisting on going. Before leaving, he leaves some money for her as a precaution and asks Toa to watch TV and relax until he returns at night safely. On the way to school, Shintaro feels a little sorry for Toa, but really there was no way to take her along with him. Plus, he didn't even sleep and is almost vomiting from being so full from breakfast. Suddenly, his friend Suit slaps him on the back, and the guy complains he could have vomited from that rough joke. Right away, Tsumugi arrives, scolding Suit for being so rough, blaming him for Shintaro looking like he got run over by a train this morning. Suit analyzes his friend's pale face and asks if he's possessed by something supernatural. And Shintaro actually considers being possessed by an angel staying at his place. Either way, he tells them he's not managing to sleep properly lately. Tsumugi gets worried, especially since he lives alone without supervision. But Suit thinks she's showing slightly exaggerated concern for just a friend. The girl gets flustered and says she only cares about her friend's well-being. So he asks her to show that affection to him too, since he's also a good guy worth caring about. Shintaro laughs at his two childhood friends and comments they seem like a comedy couple fighting. Tsumugi tells him never to repeat such nonsense again, leaving Suit offended by her exaggerated reaction to the suggestion. Meanwhile, Toa is struggling with the blanket while trying to hang it to dry, and even so keeps the whole house impeccably clean despite difficulties. Still, she can't stop thinking about Shintaro, about how happy he looked eating so much at breakfast, and she wished he'd come back home soon. Actually, she doesn't know what he's eating for lunch since he said he'll only have dinner at night. So Toa imagines him fainting from hunger on the floor like a beggar and panics about his well-being. Back at school, in fact, Shintaro will skip lunch because his stomach is tight, but because he stuffed his belly in the morning and now can't handle even one more raisin of food. 𝐂𝐨𝐧𝐭𝐚𝐭𝐨 is worried about her friend's nutrition, since he doesn't know how to cook and lives eating bread for every lunch break. So Shintaro almost lets it slip that 𝐂𝐨𝐴 is preparing food for him now, but manages to lock his mouth before saying her name, finishing the sentence saying he's eating well at the restaurant where he works part-time. Still, 𝐂𝐨𝐴 knows he doesn't have work every day, so she offers to make lunchboxes for her classmate to eat. Shintaro notices the well-prepared meal the girl made and praises her talent for cooking. And the girl says embarrassed that preparing one more lunchbox doesn't give any work at all, really. Suit asks if there's a lunchbox like that for him too, but the girl grumbles that from the third one it starts giving work to prepare. Shintaro finds the crazy conversation between them funny, but soon panics when he sees 𝐂𝐴 gliding through the cafeteria window outside. He tries to hide the angel's presence at any cost and tells her to go up to the rooftop immediately. So he runs off there pretending he forgot an urgent appointment somewhere. Suit imagines he went to meet some girl privately, so 𝐂𝐨𝐴 lectures her friend for talking nonsense about Shintaro's personal life. Seeing the angel crossing through the school's airspace, a group of boys starts thinking they're playing too many video games lately. And when Shintaro is climbing the stairs to find 𝐂𝐴, an unknown blonde girl notices his presence there. Upon finding the angel, he reminds her he asked her not to appear here and comments about her wings showing. So he starts imagining news broadcasts across all of Japan, confirming angels are real beings. 𝐂𝐴 apologizes and explains she just got worried about what he would eat for lunch today. So she leaves the food on the ground and turns to leave immediately. But Shintaro feels bad for being harsh with her and calls his friend to eat with him, making the girl super happy instantly. Soon, they thank the heavens for the meal and start eating together. Shintaro praises the food while thinking 𝐂𝐴 probably wasn't noticed by anyone. Otherwise, this would have already caused a huge scandal at school. Next, he notices she made the potato dish again that he loved the previous night. And 𝐂𝐴 responds she wants to learn more about what he likes to make increasingly better food for him. The next day, when Shintaro returns from school, 𝐂𝐴 receives him excitedly, while the guy apologizes for the lunchbox situation at school. On the other hand, the angel reminds him she can't go flying around out there, so the two end up understanding each other right there. Shintaro notices 𝐂𝐴 washed his clothes, even without knowing how to use the washing machine. But as always, the little girl found a way by reading the survival guide on Earth for good children she studies. He's increasingly impressed by this supposed guide until he sees she washed his underwear too alongside everything. Since childhood, only family members had done that, so he dies of embarrassment thinking about it. But to avoid creating a weird atmosphere, the homeowner tries to maintain his composure calmly. Suddenly, he sees a little bear sewn onto one of the underwear pieces, and 𝐂𝐴 explains she patched a hole with it creatively. So Shintaro didn't know where to hide his face from shame. Soon, for everything she's been doing for him in this house, he asks to at least take care of his own underwear going forward. But 𝐂𝐴 thinks he didn't like the bear, and asks if he prefers rabbits instead as decoration. Shintaro just tells her to forget about it and let him handle his underwear himself. So from that day forward, washing underwear in the sink became routine for the guy to handle. When night arrives, 𝐂𝐴𝐴 can't stand pretending she didn't want to ask about that girl anymore, but was afraid of looking crazy since in her head the girl was literally flying through the air. Soon she tries to convince herself she was just seeing things because people don't fly in real life. Maybe seeing Shintaro with another girl affected 𝐂𝐴𝐴, and she doesn't even know if she'll continue making lunchboxes for him in the end, honestly. All this is affecting her so much that her mom had to check if she drowned in the bath from how much time she spent inside there. The next day, Shintaro refuses the lunchbox made by 𝐂𝐴 because he doesn't know how to explain this at school properly. With this, 𝐂𝐴 thinks he came to hate her, especially because the previous night, he insisted on sleeping on the floor alone and never lets her go to school with him anywhere. So to lighten the mood, he accepts the lunchbox and warns he'll be working today until 9 at night. The angel offers to go along, but Shintaro refuses and forces a smile saying it's good to know there will be an incredible dinner waiting for him at home. And this is enough to make 𝐂𝐴 genuinely happy about everything. On the way to school, Shintaro feels bad for distancing himself from her, but he's happy. He just can't attend to all her whims constantly. Hours later, Suit catches Shintaro by surprise by calling him to have lunch together with friends. 𝐂𝐴𝐴 sees this as a chance to ask if she can continue making lunchboxes for him, but since he already had lunch packed, he makes up a story about saving a collapsed old lady on the street and getting food as thanks. Upon opening the lunchbox, there was a heart with his name written inside, and he tries to devour the food to pretend nothing happened, but it was already too late for that. 𝐂𝐴𝐴 is certain another girl prepared this lunchbox for him specifically. Suit takes advantage of the girl's distraction to steal a snack, but she doesn't let the audacity go unnoticed by her. Leaving school, Shintaro is exhausted even without knowing exactly why, and can't stand having to make up senseless excuses anymore about his life. He thinks he could introduce 𝐂𝐴 and make an effort not to reveal she's an angel, but the problem isn't even that really. Actually, he doesn't want anyone to know he's sharing a roof with a girl at all. Suddenly, a simple fortune teller lady approaches the guy saying he entered a phase full of complications with girls in his life. And to ward off this curse, she's willing to sell amulets that cost 10,000 yen each. But just for being young, she'll do 3 for 25,000 total. After escaping the spiritual scam he almost fell for, he recognizes he's really dealing with girl issues, even refusing to see 𝐂𝐴 as any kind of problem at all. As soon as he arrives at the restaurant, The employee apologizes for leaving early on Saturday, but the boss is a good guy and is happy about the guy's recovery from illness. By the way, he comments 𝐂𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆, the newly hired worker, will be on duty today, and asks Shintaro to be kind to the newcomer starting. Shintaro is curious to know who this girl is after all. And right at the first door he opens, he discovers the girl apparently likes cherries based on her underwear. But since he stared at the situation longer than he should have, 𝐂𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 greets the guy and leaves a mark on his face he'll never forget as punishment. During the shift, another employee asks what happened to his face, but he deflects the question awkwardly. Next, 𝐂𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 hands him a cold cloth to use on his face. And hearing the colleague's apology, she admits she should have locked the door in the end anyway. So she introduces herself as 𝐂𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 Noel, and Shintaro has the genius idea of joking she was born on Christmas because of her name, but to his surprise, that's actually the real reason behind it. Finally, 𝐂𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 asks him never to mention what happened earlier again and walks away from the conversation. And even without being able to say a single word, Shintaro is relieved knowing he won't be accused of harassment at work. Even so, in the coming and going of restaurant work, even though the two haven't exchanged any more words because of the common waiter rush, the guy is having difficulty not imagining 𝐂𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 wearing those cherry underwear he accidentally saw. So he bangs his head against the wall trying to expel these perverted thoughts, and on top of that, imagines 𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 getting irritated with all this perversion in his mind. Speaking of 𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆, he still needs to come up with an explanation about where these lunchboxes are coming from. But so far, he hasn't thought of anything convincing. At least the friendly boss releases Shintaro and 𝐂𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 early, plus offers a parfait for each that was left over in the fridge to take. The guy seems tense with the girl's presence, so she asks if she should leave him alone, but Shintaro responds he's actually feeling kind of useless today at work. 𝐂𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 says he did the job properly, and even though he wasn't talking about work, he's surprised to be praised by this tough girl unexpectedly. As soon as they find the parfaits, Shintaro has the bad luck they're cherry-flavored, which brings to mind a very striking image of her. So he tries to disguise his thoughts. But it's 𝐂𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 herself who turns red like a cherry from embarrassment. Despite saying she doesn't care about what happened earlier, despite this, the situation starts getting out of control as both pretend nothing is happening between them. And for some reason, the air conditioning in the room seems to have frozen so much it created a blizzard inside there. So Shintaro notices the girl is shivering from cold, but when approaching her, 𝐂𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 Noel confesses she's a 𝑦uki-onna ice demon. Suddenly, the cold starts spreading throughout the entire restaurant, bothering customers, until one of them asks to increase the temperature of the air conditioning system. Meanwhile, Shintaro doesn't even find the co-worker's revelation that absurd, honestly. After all, he already lives with a real angel, but suddenly tries to take back what he said, saying he was spacing out and the freezing air must just be a malfunction in the device. But the more nervous she got, the more intense the blizzard became around them. To try to calm the 𝑦uki-onna down, Shintaro says he doesn't care who she really is, so she calms down a little from his acceptance. However, outside, the manager and another waitress are wondering if the air conditioner has some defect causing problems. So Shintaro and 𝐂𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 decide to change as quickly as possible to get out of the restaurant before anyone notices. Once done, they dash away as if their lives depended on escaping right now. And once they were far enough from fancy restaurant, 𝐂𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 shows the parfaits she managed to rescue even in the middle of all that confusion earlier. And so the two burst out laughing together at the absurdity. Meanwhile, the boss notices the temperature returned to normal as if nothing had happened at all mysteriously. 𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒆 is sweating, playing Final Fight, getting genuinely exhausted and enjoying more and more these crazy human games she discovered. The angel got so hooked on this game, she didn't even notice time passing by quickly. And upon noticing it was already past 9 o'clock, she wonders what could have happened to Shintaro, keeping him late. In the meantime, Tsumugi is almost going crazy from thinking so much about her classmate's lunchbox, trying to unravel this mystery like she's some kind of Sherlock Holmes of emotional neediness. To avoid completely losing it, the girl decides to get ice cream on the street to cool down her racing thoughts. Nearby, Shintaro tries to make conversation with 𝐂𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆, but she seems visibly shaken by something bothering her. He comments on being surprised they study at the same school together, but nothing seems to cheer the girl up at all. Soon she asks if Shintaro really believed what she said earlier about being a 𝑦uki-onna ice demon. And calmly, the guy reaffirms he believes every word she told him, without making her more irritated about the situation she's in. After all, he reflects that if angels exist, then demons must also exist in this world logically. With this, it became easier to accept the truth she shared. Next, 𝐂𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 asks him to keep secret something she's going to tell him now. She reveals her family has 𝑦uki-onna blood running through them, that this influences their actions, perhaps through some genetic inheritance passed down. Like her mother and grandmother also inherited this trait from their ancestors. So when they get nervous, sad, or embarrassed, a snowstorm appears around them uncontrollably. Despite her younger sister and the rest of the family being able to control their emotions well, 𝐂𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 always had difficulty maintaining composure and therefore isolated herself, fearing she'd provoke a blizzard by losing control in public. Over the years, 𝐂𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 stopped attending school and lived reclusive at home. But upon starting high school, she decided to change her life and try to socialize with people. When she only stayed home, her routine was basically reading manga and watching anime all day. So she started working to have contact with other people outside her family. Even so, now she's on the verge of losing control because someone saw her changing clothes earlier. So she thinks maybe her place is really inside her house after all, since in the end, she considers herself a lost cause who can't function. But Shintaro recognizes his colleague's effort to always serve customers with a smile on her face because even though many want to change, few have courage to actually act on it. For this reason, he finds Izumi admirable, far from being someone without hope or solution. Facing these words, she sheds some tears, and this makes the guy think he upset her again with his speech. However, these are tears of relief, so to speak, about finally being understood. Izumi had never told anyone outside her family she was a Yuki-onna and feels happy to have been understood by someone accepting. So even without knowing exactly how to build a friendship, she asks to be friends with Shintaro, and he accepts immediately, even knowing who she really is inside. At that instant, a feather falls from the sky near the two, and looking up, Toa appears floating, arriving to see how her friend is doing tonight. However, the angel and the Yuki-onna stare at each other instantly with tension. As if that wasn't enough, Tsumugi appears lastly and realizes she wasn't imagining seeing a girl floating in the sky before. In the middle of this chaos, Takumitsu Shintaro, an ordinary 16-year-old guy who studied and worked part-time, suddenly realizes his life is far from normal, like it was before everything. In the middle of the confusion, one girl stares at the other without understanding absolutely anything until all three start expressing their feelings at the same time to Shintaro, who can't absorb so much information at once. He starts by asking Tsumugi what she's doing there in the first place. The girl responds she only happened to pass by there, until remembering she's wearing workout clothes and lamenting having crossed paths with her beloved dressed like this awkwardly. That said, Shintaro throws out a test question asking everyone if they can pretend nobody witnessed anything here and just leave. But this is totally unfeasible, so he'll have to come clean about everything happening. At the same time, Noel is amazed to be before a real angel, and all she wants is to touch that skin that looks so soft and divine. On the other hand, Tsumugi is a bit more reserved and questions whether the girl really is an actual angel or not. Soon after taking courage, Toa confesses she came to the human world to learn from people about their ways. With this, Noel gets even more excited about the revelation. But Tsumugi doesn't seem so satisfied with this information at all. Facing the situation, Shintaro sits down with everyone and explains what's really happening and that he kept Toa secret to avoid generating confusion with others. Tsumugi promises never to tell anyone else, especially because nobody would believe the story anyway. Next, she asks Toa why she chose Shintaro specifically to stay with, and the angel reveals it was by chance, since she was just looking for a place to spend the night safely. Tsumugi comments with a closed expression that Shintaro is too kind for his own good, but soon after demonstrates she hates and loves this side of him at the same time, conflictingly. Soon she remembers the lunchbox from earlier and realizes Shintaro lied saying it was made by an old lady on the street. Besides the angel, the other is Izumi Noel from class 3 at school. So Tsumugi asks what she's doing with Shintaro at this hour, since she's known as the Ice Queen, because she never talks to anyone at school ever. Pressured, Noel starts losing patience and threatens to make it snow everywhere, so Shintaro runs to explain the two work at the same place and were together after their shift ended. With this answer, Tsumugi thinks silently she should get a job at the same restaurant as them. Adding more fuel to the fire, Noel asks if the other two are just friends of Shintaro's or something more, and he confirms they're friends. Facing the strange reaction, Shintaro asks if Izumi is okay, but she insists on being called Noel by him. From the corner, Tsumugi wonders why he calls Noel and Toa by their first names, but never does that with her despite knowing her longer. After the tense atmosphere passes, things calm down and Shintaro suggests it's time to leave now, until Noel takes courage and reveals to the girls she's a Yuki-onna ice demon, making Shintaro almost spit his soul out of his mouth in shock. Next, Noel proves her words by bringing a light blizzard around them, but since she was concentrating, she didn't notice her skirt lifting up from the wind. When Shintaro tries to warn her, she gets even more irritated because he also saw her changing clothes earlier that day. The other girls don't know where to hide their faces from embarrassment. In the end, Noel manages to control herself and says she only had courage to assume her true nature after Toa did the same thing first. Trusting in their friendship with Shintaro, Noel believes they won't reveal her secret to others. Taking advantage of the moment, Tsumugi reveals she wet the bed until 5th grade as her confession. Shintaro comments that type of confession didn't match the atmosphere, but the girl just wanted to share a secret too with everyone. After that, Toa thanks them for meeting new friends today, and in response, Tsumugi asks the angel's name properly, while Noel wants to know if Toa can adjust the size of her wings at will. As soon as the wings grow a bit larger, the girls approach to touch them curiously, and Shintaro realizes everything turned out better than he imagined it would tonight. Upon arriving home, the guy is exhausted, so Toa prepares something for him to eat quickly. While mixing an egg and turning on the stove, Toa comments the girls she met today are incredible, and only someone as nice as Shintaro would attract people like that into his life. The young man feels awkward about the compliment from her. The next day, a team of agents invades the apartment, claiming the owner hides an angel and a Yuki-onna there, ordering them to search the entire place thoroughly. In no time, Noel and a mysterious cloak are captured, and soon Toa also falls into the men's hands roughly. Shintaro tries to save them, but is also grabbed by force. Being dragged away, Shintaro wakes up from the nightmare, and Toa is worried about his screams in his sleep. At school, the guy still can't sleep properly, but soon Tsumugi appears with worse dark circles, pretending everything is fine with her. Actually, she's already accepted that angels and Yukionas exist in this world, but knowing Shintaro lives with a girl is too much for her heart to handle, so she decides to take a step forward and asks if he's dating the angel or the demon romantically. Shintaro nervously justifies he just met them recently, and Tsumugi stays calm while inside she celebrates this news happily. Listening to the conversation, Suit approaches and asks who this Toe person is exactly. Tsumugi explains she's an apparent distant relative of Shintaro's who prepares lunchboxes for him every single day at home. Suit is impressed by his buddy's luck, so he asks if there's a possibility of Toe cooking for him too sometime, but soon leaves irritated as soon as Tsumugi tells him to get a clue already. Facing this, Shintaro feels relieved to have someone to share a secret with, while Tsumugi loves the fact this is something only between her and the person she wants most. After being left alone again, Shintaro was appreciating the breeze of a peaceful day, until noticing two annoying guys calling Noel to go to karaoke with them. The girl coldly ignored the pair, but her expression goes from hell to heaven upon noticing Shintaro's presence nearby. Revealing next, she was waiting for the guy to arrive at school, something she intends to do every single blessed day going forward. Speaking of which, she thinks it's a great idea to have a shared diary between them as friends. However, Shintaro reminds her they both have work after class and offers to walk with her there instead. Still, Noel wants to do this friendship thing the right way, so she prefers to walk back with Shintaro on a day off from work. As soon as she leaves, Shintaro finally understands why she said she was terrible at maintaining friendships with people. Already in the late afternoon, Toe takes a break from preparing dinner tonight. The angel feels a deep desire to know the place where Shintaro works for a living, and when a little cat appears on the windowsill, Toa decides to ask if she knows where Shintaro is working currently. Meanwhile, at Fancy Restaurant, Shintaro receives orders to restock the cups for the drink machines everywhere, until Noel arrives in that mood and the boss calls the guy to have a chat with him. He questions if Shintaro and Noel are dating each other, but makes clear relationships between employees are allowed, especially since Noel herself asked to work next month's schedule exactly on the days when Shintaro will be there too. Even so, the guy insists they're just friends and nothing more, until a female employee overhears the conversation and comments she also tried to get close to Noel, but ended up being threatened with a curse on her family for 15 generations as punishment. In the end, the boss just wanted to check the situation and asks the guy to help in the dining room at night when movement increases with customers. At that moment, a customer rings the bell asking for service. The waiter goes to the table and finds Tsumugi sitting there waiting. Shintaro didn't imagine the angel knew where the restaurant was located at all. She explains a little cat was showing her the way, but unfortunately it disappeared, and Tsumugi appeared by chance and guided the rest of the way there. Tsumugi pretends she doesn't care, but just wanted to observe up close this friendship between Shintaro and Noel developing. Finally, he takes down the order for 2 all-you-can-drink beverages and moves on to the next table for service, while Tsumugi goes completely crazy seeing that masculine man using his work uniform looking good. Shortly after, an old lady asks for help, and since Toa interprets everything as a cry for help, she goes to see what the woman needs assistance with. Tsumugi then has to raise her voice and explain that serving customers isn't her function at all here. At that instant, she realizes maybe because she's an angel, Toa is too helpful for her own good, someone who still needs to have her wings cut down to size metaphorically. Speaking of which, Tsumugi looks at Noel and presumes, at least during work hours, she and Shintaro won't have much contact with each other romantically. However, Noel runs to tell the guy the angel is there at the restaurant, making Tsumugi suffer critical damage instantly from jealousy. The boss, noticing the situation, calls Miss Izumi over to talk for a moment privately. He praises her energetic posture but asks her to tone it down a bit, please. After all, this is a work environment that requires professionalism. Right after that, she goes to Shintaro and states in her gothic voice she can no longer be friends with him anymore. As she absorbs her own words, a real blizzard starts forming around her body uncontrollably. When Shintaro responds, he understands her decision. Without falling into tears, Noel makes an even angrier face and leaves, saying for the guy never to speak to her again, ever. Meanwhile, Toe was going to town on a melon soda with cola mixed in, while Tsumugi still remained stunned by the blow she suffered watching them. Toe wants to know what the next round of drinks will be, but her friend says she's already bloated, so she decides to order something to eat instead. Upon grabbing the menu, Toe thinks she's still in heaven, discovering the hamburger with cheese inside it sounds delicious. Even so, since she already prepared dinner that day, she decides not to order anything for herself. Hearing this, Tsumugi realizes besides being beautiful, Toa is also a cook, which ends up affecting the girl even more emotionally. On the other hand, the innocent angel wants to know what part-time job means and is shocked to discover it means work, because according to her manual that would be parallel employment. Tsumugi loses a bit of patience but also answers Toa's next question about whether Shintaro is a student or not since he works so much. She explains many students do part-time jobs because their allowance isn't enough to cover expenses. Despite the pleasant conversation, Tsumugi feels an urgent need to go to the bathroom suddenly. She leaves Toa alone for an instant in the middle of the restaurant rush happening. Shintaro worries about what the angel could get up to. And in fact, Toa takes advantage of the free time to help some customers by jumping from table to table offering assistance, until Shintaro grabs the girl and pulls her to a more secluded corner away from people. There, Toa explains she just wanted to help finish the work faster so he could come home sooner to be with her. The guy then explains he gets paid by the hour, and even with her help, this wouldn't change anything about when he leaves. Not understanding very well, Toa asks if Shintaro is obligated to work now that he lives with her at home. He clarifies he was already working before this to gain experience before graduating, even receiving an allowance from his parents monthly. Toa ends up finding it unfair to do nothing while the guy kills himself working so hard every day. But Shintaro makes clear his life improved a lot after meeting the angel who cares for him. Besides, she helps with everything inside the house doing chores. With this, Toa calms down and warns Shintaro will arrive home with dinner ready and waiting. Spying on the conversation, the boss is enchanted by that curious love triangle forming, until Noel appears with another idea in her head now. Now she wants to work all shifts when Shintaro will be there without exception. Later that night, Shintaro reflects on how much his life changed since Toa came to live with him at the apartment. Among these changes, some stand out quite a bit, like the industrialized rice he always bought that has now been completely extinct, since he only eats rice made in the pot by the hands of that angel from paradise above. However, Shintaro finds it strange the girl leaves the rice cooker right in front of the TV, since as far as he knows, this type of thing normally stays in the kitchen area. Toa argues leaving the pot there occupies all the food preparation space, and besides, all the kitchen outlets are already being used for appliances. Facing this, Shintaro understands the reason and decides to leave the pot where it is currently. Taking advantage of the subject, he asks how angels prepare food in heaven exactly. The creature from paradise explains there are trees that bear fruit, but instead of apples or oranges like on Earth, these trees produce hot rice lunchboxes in heart shapes ready to eat. The guy is impressed by how things work up there in the celestial realm. And realizing he doesn't need to get up to get more rice from the kitchen, he agrees with the angel the best place for the pot is exactly there beside the table where they eat. In another corner of the city, 𝐂𝐨𝐧𝐭𝐚𝐭𝐨 thinks too much about this whole crazy situation happening in her life. Mainly because Shintaro asked for advice about Toa after an incident at the park recently. On that occasion, he was thinking about taking the angel out for a walk, and since they'd go by bus and train, he wanted to know if it would be a good idea to buy a transportation card for her to use. Before that, 𝐂𝐨𝐴𝐺 recommends he buy a simple ticket first, so Toa understands how public transportation works in practice. Deep down, however, what she really wanted was for the card to be bought for her and not for the angel visiting. Either way, whether she wants it or not, 𝐂𝐨𝐺 always thought Shintaro was a guy different from most people, especially for his age and maturity level. When the guy's parents went to live abroad for work, he decided to do high school in Japan, living alone in an empty apartment that belonged to his aunt generously. So the young man took an entrance exam to get into school and got a job to supplement his parents' allowance, which ended up convincing them to let their son stay alone in the country independently. Because of this, 𝐂𝐨𝐺𝐵 already liked the guy's aunt very much for providing that opportunity. After all, it was thanks to that house Shintaro ended up meeting her and becoming friends. Up to that point, everything was fine for her emotionally. She could even accept Shintaro being further ahead than her in life, probably. However, the fact the guy lives with an angel and still works with a Yuki-onna was already too much for her head to process. To calm down, 𝐂𝐨𝐵 takes a sip of tea and recognizes that Toe Person is nice, just like Izumi is, and she'd like to help both of them in whatever way possible as friends. Still, the truth is, she gets bothered whenever Shintaro talks about other girls near her romantically. So 𝐂𝐨𝐵 regrets not taking action before the two appeared in his life suddenly. Since always, the girl regrets things she didn't have courage to do when she had the chance. She could have offered to prepare lunchboxes for her crush earlier or been honest about her feelings, even though nobody could predict the guy would end up living with an angel out of nowhere. In the end, 𝐂𝐶𝐨 feels too normal, without anything special to offer, since she wasn't an angel or demon with powers. So she asks her mother if by chance she's descended from some yokai spirit, because it would be nice to have some outstanding characteristic for a change to stand out. Her mother doesn't quite understand the reason for the tantrum, but responds being normal is also something incredible in its own way. And that was exactly the last thing her daughter wanted to hear from anyone. Deep down, what she wanted to hear was an "I love you" from Shintaro Takemitsu directly. And without a doubt, her priority now was figuring out a way to make that happen somehow. Meanwhile, the girl's younger brother comes downstairs hungry to the first floor. But the mom doesn't want the brat snacking before sleeping and tells him to take a bath to make the hunger pass temporarily. Taking advantage of the opening, she remembers to show 𝐂𝐶𝐨 she won a voucher worth 2,000 yen in a raffle at Mistress Donut Shop. and since the promotion ends tomorrow, she should go with friends as soon as possible to use it. Even facing the younger brother's protests, who also wanted to eat sweets, the eldest daughter can't stop thinking about the donut date she wishes to have alone with Shintaro romantically. So she hugs her mother tightly and thanks her for the opportunity of her life happening the next day. The next day, there's the same trio as always at school together. But this time, 𝐂𝐨𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 is embarrassed to the limit and panicking, thinking about how to invite the guy to taste the long-awaited donut with her alone. However, every moment she encountered him during the day, no matter where it was, she got so nervous she froze completely, preventing the invitation from coming out. Class hours were coming to an end, and nothing gave the blessed girl courage to speak. Until Suit sees her with the donut coupon and snatches it from her hand, calling Shintaro to go with them with complete shamelessness. Normally she'd be irritated with the guy, but that day he was literally saving everything in the last minutes before expiration. However, a classmate reminds Suit the freshman need to wash the club balls that day as duty. The soldier is shot down instantly from disappointment. Before leaving, he asks Shintaro to honor his name on this mission at Mistress Donut Shop. Shintaro then asks if 𝐂𝐨𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 minds going alone with him, and she hides her ecstasy to respond calmly, yes, feeling proud for the first time of being Suit's childhood friend. After the last bell rings before going to the donut shop, Shintaro asks to stop quickly at the library first. Arriving there, he explains he wanted to study a bit more about angels and yokai spirits, plus discover if demons and cloaks also exist in this world. 𝐂𝐨𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 is afraid the guy is trying to assemble a romantic quintet harem, but at the same time melts seeing this nerdy side of her friend researching. On top of that, he thanks the girl for keeping him company and helping with research. Shintaro comments 𝐂𝐨𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 is helpful because of her manliness, a compliment she found extremely bizarre to be directed at a girl like her. So he gives an example citing the park when she revealed her most intimate secret to make Toa and Noel feel more comfortable around her. But since that day, the girl ended up telling the friend group she wet the bed as a child, she'd prefer everyone had forgotten that stupid revelation already. Sometime later, the two read their books quietly in the library, and Shintaro is so sleepy he no longer understands anything he's seeing on the pages. 𝐂𝐨𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 comes across a kappa in the book and trembles, thinking only yokai liked cucumbers that much. When going to ask her friend about those sinister things she just discovered reading, she realizes he was already knocked out asleep on the table, something she found the cutest thing that exists in the world. In 5th grade sleep, Shintaro already knew his friend wet the bed back then. He just didn't imagine the real secret 𝐂𝐨𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 kept was how much she's been in love with him all these years. After the guy's basic 1-hour nap, during all this time, 𝐂𝐨𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 just sat there observing his sleeping face lovingly. A heavy rain starts falling, threatening to ruin the plan to eat donuts together. Because even with umbrellas, they'd certainly arrive soaked at the donut shop because of the rain's intensity pouring. So Shintaro suggests his friend buy sweets and take them home instead, since if they took too long, it would be very close to dinner time anyway. However, 𝐂𝐨𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 refuses to lose that unique opportunity with him. So she risks her life for donuts with Shintaro and runs out through the rain, leaving the guy fascinated by that girl's love for the blessed donut treat. He goes after her full of enthusiasm, matching hers. However, in the middle of running to the establishment, a kid passes by in 5th gear and ends up falling face first on the ground right beside the two of them. Since he breaks his umbrella and would be late for cram school if he needed to go home, 𝐂𝐨𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 hands her umbrella to the little boy so he doesn't miss his studies and shares what's left with Shintaro between them. The guy asks if she'd rather turn around and buy some treat at the convenience store instead, since that confusion happened unexpectedly. Even so, the maiden insists on continuing the journey to Mistress Donut, even with the only umbrella for both of them sharing. After finally having courage to say what she wanted, she thinks she crossed the line and almost goes back on it, saying it would be better to buy treats another day instead. However, Shintaro accepts the proposal to continue that way together. And so 𝐂𝐨𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒆 lived happily ever after, while that long-awaited date for two at the donut shop lasted perfectly. The next day leaving school, Shintaro notices he wasn't scheduled for work that day at the restaurant. Just like Noel wasn't either, this means that would be the day the two would return home together, as they agreed before. The problem with these moments is, he never knows exactly what to say in the frantic conversations he has with this friend, because Noel usually runs over one subject with another, and the poor guy can barely keep up with her pace. That late afternoon, after talking non-stop about a weird anime protagonist who solves adventure problems by following eye signals, she remembers to ask when the two will buy a joint diary to share. At that moment, Shintaro decides to be real with her and says, diaries for two people don't actually exist in reality, and this type of thing is something girls usually do at the beginning of elementary school as kids. Although the comment sounded a bit rude, Noel finds the observation funny and understands what her friend meant by it. Meanwhile, further back, a group of students sees 𝐂𝐨𝐵𝒄𝒊𝒆, the girl from class nobody ever sees talking to anyone, this time interacting with another person finally. A bit further ahead, Noel asks if eating on the way home from school is also an elementary school girl thing to do. And when the guy responds it's not, she runs into a convenience store and buys ice cream to share. The sweet freezes the girl's tongue so much she can barely speak properly afterward. And the fact she suffers from this being a yokai makes the two burst out laughing together at the irony. After that, Noel confesses she thought about buying several different things for that moment, but decided on ice cream to give a greater air of friendship since it was something that could be divided between them. Actually, she'd been thinking about what to buy since the previous night planning. After all this was a special day, the first day she left school with a friend in her entire life. This made her so excited she could barely sleep the night before from anticipation. Speaking of which, on the night she told Shintaro what a Yuki-onna was, Noel also couldn't sleep a wink, because she'd never been able to open up that way with anyone about the most difficult subject of her life before. Shintaro was also restless when he learned the news, and even had a strange dream that night involving a kappa spirit creature. Noel laughs, remembering this, and thanks that revelation wasn't just a dream, plus thanks her friend for understanding so well something so important to her personally. At the end of their shared path, Shintaro turns left after saying goodbye to Noel, and the girl warns next time they walk home together, it'll be his turn to buy the ice cream to share. Upon arriving home, Noel takes from her pocket the wrapper of the ice cream she shared with a friend to keep as a memento and gets anxious for their next meeting the following morning at school. Meanwhile, 𝒏𝒏 was folding the washed clothes from the house and singing a song she invented on the spot, talking about Shintaro's favorite vegetables that would be in dinner tonight, when suddenly a loud noise of something falling and crashing comes from the balcony outside. Arriving there, 𝒏𝒏 encounters 𝐂𝐨𝐵𝒄𝒊𝒆, a miniature version of herself who failed the landing and fell precisely at Shintaro's apartment by accident. Sometime later, when the homeowner appears, the angel explains the whole situation and asks the little one to introduce herself properly. However, the girl describes herself as a child who introduces herself always in the most hurried and bad-tempered way possible, only to immediately after call 𝒏𝒏 to return home by leaving through the window since she can't appear in public at all. 𝒏𝒏 tries to close the window while the shorty insists on opening it again repeatedly over and over, until the older one manages to convince her to drink some milk, the thing she loves most, to calm down and behave. After 2 gulps, 𝒏𝒏 stares at the rest of the people with a friendly face softening. While Shintaro is impressed with the existence of such small angels, which even makes sense remembering cupids are practically babies in mythology. Next, 𝒏𝒏 asks what 𝒏𝒏 was doing there since descending without authorization isn't permitted by heaven. The little girl shouts, God allowed her descent precisely because 𝒏𝒏 gave no sign of life for a very long time, and this made her worried sick. 𝒏𝒏 responds she was studying human behavior, and 1 week away wasn't that long, really, but for the stubborn shorty, that felt like an eternity passing. After all, they're like sisters to each other. And that's why 𝒏𝒏 managed to sense 𝒏𝒏's presence and find her at that house location. Unfortunately, the little one says she didn't imagine her friend would be staying in such a simple place, much less living with a human male, because according to her, humans are nothing but perverted animals. 𝒏𝒏 tries to calm the situation once more, explaining the guy is kind, and soon calls 𝒏𝒏 to eat the food she prepared, suggesting the bad mood could be hunger affecting her. However, the shorty gets even more upset, realizing 𝒏𝒏 had the audacity to cook for that terrible male and even wash his clothes like a servant. 𝒏𝒏 teaches her the guy's name is Shintaro, but all the possessed girl manages to repeat is cursed Shintaro whenever referring to him, emanating a very unangelic energy around herself. 𝒏𝒏 decrees the man is a great pervert, forcing the angel to act as a maid doing chores. No matter how much Shintaro tries to justify himself constantly, affirming it's nothing like that at all between them. Facing this, the little one's only conclusion is she needs to execute the human immediately. 𝒏𝒏 says she can't talk like that, so 𝒏𝒏 corrects herself saying Shintaro will meet his creator in heaven soon. Seeing scolding didn't work, 𝒏𝒏 returns to offering milk to the young angel, and she even accepts drinking it, but not without trying to pull 𝒏𝒏 out of the house with her, at least to leave that suffocating room for a bit. 𝒏𝒏 responds Shintaro said it's dangerous to go out there like that exposed. So 𝒏𝒏 asks how 𝒏𝒏 intends to learn about humans if she doesn't even leave the apartment at all. For her, the friend is trapped in that place and doesn't even know what she's doing with her mission, so she should return to heaven immediately without delay. Since 𝐂𝐨 keeps insisting on staying, 𝐂𝐨 turns her attention to the man, saying he should rethink the way he treats the angel visiting. After all, she possesses an extremely high social status and a life completely different from coexisting with plebeians like him. In response, Shintaro confesses, life on Earth has its difficulties, which leaves the little one slightly shaken by his honesty. Soon after, he adds this is acceptable, considering the enormous cultural differences between their worlds. For example, if one day he visited heaven, he'd certainly do strange things in the angel's eyes too, by accident. Despite this, Shintaro says he's grateful, knowing 𝐂𝐨 always makes an effort to please him and act the correct way despite not understanding everything. Hearing each word, 𝐂𝐨 is enchanted by the guy's sensitivity and understanding. While 𝐂𝐨 seems to almost bleed from her eyes seeing her dear friend slipping through her fingers away from heaven. Even so, she doesn't give up and accuses all humans of being liars, affirming that Guy was only speaking from his mouth outward without meaning it. 𝐂𝐨 responds, Shintaro is a truly good and kind person, and she believes this with all her heart completely. 𝐂𝐨 argues it's too naive believing this in just 1 week of knowing him. However, 𝐂𝐨 reminds her in this short period, the guy managed to show in every way he really cares about her, even though initially she was just a stranger on his balcony. It was precisely this kindness that calmed the fear she felt coming to Earth for the first time alone. Besides, knowing someone cared about her made 𝐂𝐨 realize she wasn't alone in this world. And this is cause for great happiness in her heart. Taking everything into account, the angel feels she needs to repay this affection somehow by making her presence also bring happiness to Shintaro in return. That's why she decided to stay with him here. Embarrassed, Shintaro realizes he'll never get used to a girl saying this type of thing about him so openly. Meanwhile, 𝐂𝐨 sees nothing worked and flees the apartment, calling her friend an idiot for wanting to remain there with humans. Shintaro and 𝐂𝐨 go searching for the little one, and the guy supposes angels prefer staying in high places far from the ground naturally, which 𝐂𝐨 confirms is true about their nature. So they head to the rooftop where there's a rented garden plot that would probably still be open at this hour. During the way, 𝐂𝐨 apologizes for the things 𝐂𝐨 said rudely, but Shintaro understands she only spoke that way because she worries about her friend's safety. Shortly after, they reach the rooftop and find the small angel sitting in the garden alone. 𝐂𝐨 asks forgiveness for only thinking about herself selfishly, while 𝐂𝐨 says she only acted out of concern for her well-being. The shorty responds, 𝐂𝐨 did nothing wrong at all. So 𝐂𝐨 offers a hug to make her stop crying from sadness. Shintaro observes the scene and interprets it as an almost religious experience happening. After all, even being an angel, a child is still a child, and he ends up finding 𝐂𝐨 adorable despite everything. However, while hugging 𝐂𝐨, the little girl throws in Shintaro's face what he stole from her friendship. Suddenly, 𝐂𝐴's necklace starts beeping, warning she'd be sent back home in 1 minute automatically. With this, the girl starts crying even harder than before. Taking advantage of her last chance, she asks if 𝐂𝐨 really won't return with her to heaven now. Since 𝐂𝐨 remains firm in her decision to stay, the little one says she'll pray every single day to ensure her friend doesn't suffer down here. As for that Shintaro guy, she recognizes maybe he's not so bad after all, mainly because 𝐂𝐨 insists on this so strongly. After all, she trusts her friend's judgment about people. Still, if he does any harm to the angel, 𝐂𝐨 guarantees she'll make him meet his own creator as she promised inside earlier. However, 𝐂𝐨 ends up being returned to paradise while continuing to rant various threats against the poor guy until she vanishes. With this, 𝐂𝐨 takes advantage to look at the garden since she'd never descended to the rooftop before this moment. At the same time, she admits 𝐂𝐨 really touched her with that conversation about learning more about humans through experience. Shintaro recognizes things need to change and suggests starting today after dinner they go out to walk together every single day without fail. When 𝐂𝐨 gets more comfortable, she'll be able to go out alone in the morning while he's at school studying. That said, with a completely red face, he makes the invitation and 𝐂𝐨 accepts, further reinforcing the kind image she already had of him in her mind, exactly as promised. Every day after dinner, they strolled through the city to expand her knowledge, and Shintaro explained how things work, like traffic light colors when crossing the street, always reinforcing the importance of looking both ways first. To her surprise, the supposed teacher gets confused and tries to cross with the signal open, being saved by the angel guardian herself this time. One day, Shintaro enters announcing he's arrived home, and the angel comments he always does that, even when nobody's home waiting. He responds, it's just force of habit from living alone. Soon after, 𝐂𝐨 approaches to welcome him home. A bit closer than he was used to, Shintaro can't avoid feeling that bittersweet climate in the air between them. Speaking of which, the two end up watching on TV a program called Sweet's Journey together. Shintaro reflects his friend can already go out alone now and thinks the next step would be teaching her to take buses and trains by herself. However, just imagining the girl getting lost or being followed by strange people, the thought terrorizes him completely from worry. So he decides, like a true 16-year-old father, that Toa isn't ready yet to use public transportation alone safely. Meanwhile, on television, the program shows the most sold sweet of the day at the confectionery shop displayed. The strawberry sandwich with shining muscatel grapes inside, looking delicious. Toei is literally drooling seeing that dessert on screen. And Shintaro remembers it's possible to reach that place passing through just one train station away. Hearing this, To is startled, discovering those stores shown on the program really exist in real life, because she thought everything was just acting like in human soap operas. But since the sandwiches are real, Shintaro invites her to go eat one there together. An invitation the girl accepts immediately with excitement. On the way to the confectionery shop, he hands To a ticket to put in the station turnstile, while she recalls seeing a train once on the day she arrived on Earth for the first time. Scared, she's surprised when the ticket is sucked into the machine automatically. Shintaro explains it comes out the other side in a different form than before. At disembarkment, she believes the ticket should come out again for her to take home as a souvenir. Enchanted by the city full of life, Toa runs ahead excitedly, getting a mild scolding from Shintaro for running off. Next, she returns and holds his hand so they go together, completely changing the guy's mood for the better. Another mood that changes is Toa's when she finally encounters the delicious sweet sandwiches she saw on TV earlier. She orders a mixed fruit sandwich and a strawberry milkshake, while Shintaro chooses a red and green apple sandwich accompanied by a honey shake to drink. In the end, the guy is genuinely happy for going out with Toa and seeing her eat with such satisfaction and joy. The outing continues through the city until they reach an ecological park where there's a swan-shaped pedal boat available. Toa thinks it's a real swan at first because she remembers a human play called Swan Lake, a very beautiful love story she heard about. Shintaro explains what it actually is and calls the girl to try it out together. Soon, the two are pedaling together toward the lake, while Shintaro feels a strange love observing Toa's beautiful legs moving in the pedaling motion rhythmically. Suddenly, she gets excited and accelerates the swan, almost transforming it into a jet ski speeding. Observing the scene, an elderly couple comments, "That's the cutest thing in the world happening," saying two lovebirds are enjoying their moment together romantically. Shintaro gets extremely embarrassed and takes control of the pedal boat to get out of there quickly, while Toa asks what lovebirds means exactly. And he pretends not to know the answer to her question. Even after leaving the swan boat behind, the couple's phrase doesn't leave the guy's head, who realizes that was practically a date between them. Further ahead, Toa sees a dango shop and pulls Shintaro to eat there, but he ends up letting go of her hand by impulse accidentally. Next, he explains holding hands is something only more intimate people usually do in public together. At that moment, an irritated woman bumps into Toa and knocks her to the ground roughly. Although the angel understands the lady was probably in a hurry, Shintaro apologizes to her, affirming every time she faces danger on Earth, it's humans' fault who tend to be selfish and think only of themselves first. He reflects, maybe he's just like them deep down. So Toa teaches, it's easier to care about others when we learn first to care about ourselves properly. At that instant, Shintaro feels deeply the happiness of having met someone so incredible as her, but decides to cut the romantic atmosphere and calls his friend to eat the dango she wanted so much. The two head to the snack shop together, this time without holding hands between them. After an entire day walking around the city, Shintaro and Toa return home while the angel thanks him for the wonderful day and the delicious fruit sandwich they ate. Thinking about dinner, the guy suggests they buy a ready-made meal at the convenience store so Toa doesn't need to cook so late at night. Upon approaching the apartment building, the girl warns she'll prepare hot tea really quickly for them. However, when approaching their apartment door, they notice a girl sitting there with her head down waiting. Shintaro approaches to see what's happening when the woman stands up and hugs him tightly without warning. At that moment, he realizes it's Mari visiting suddenly. Soon after, she's already inside the apartment devouring the pork lunchbox they bought as if she hasn't eaten in 2 weeks straight. Meanwhile, Shintaro reflects the freeloader didn't even ask permission to take the food for herself. Mari apologizes for not visiting her friend before, explaining she's been very busy with work lately. And Shintaro recognizes she really does take her job seriously based on her schedule. And that's everything for today's wild journey through angel adoption and domestic chaos. If you survived this entire story, you're officially blessed. Make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to Curious Nerd for more anime breakdowns that expose all the wholesome moments and awkward living situations. Hit that notification bell so you never miss when we drop our next recap covering supernatural roommates and romantic confusion. Drop a comment below telling us which slice of life anime we should cover next. We read every single suggestion, and your ideas might become our next video. Thanks for watching, and remember to stay curious, stay nerdy, and we'll catch you in the next one.